Hey, how's it going? It's MEGAREACH here. So, hope you enjoyed last week's breakdown of Fresh Eyes, where I went through all the instruments and showed you how I put the track together. So, man, putting together that video took some editing and took some work. So yeah, it was fun to make. And yeah, let me know if you enjoyed it, and I'll definitely make more videos like that. This week, what I wanted to talk about is how I'm beginning to discover my sound, and why this is, I believe, a never-ending journey. So, let's start the vlog.
Out of focus, I can't see. Nothing's fucking clear to me.
So, over the past few months, as I've been releasing tracks, I've been trying different genres and styles. The first track I released was a very kind of big synth EDM house type track, with an awesome vocal. I've also done stuff with slight rock influences, with guitars with a slightly darker tone, and I feel like that comes across well, and it's fun to make, and I enjoy putting real instruments into a track. I've also done some pop stuff, which is equally as fun, right? I love pop, I listen to pop all the time, and I love writing it. And I've also done like some slower house stuff around 110 BPM, which for some reason that tempo really clicks with me. I feel like you can do a little bit more rhythmically because it's a slower pace. But every track I release seems to be, a slightly different genre in a way, or have a very different feeling about it. So what's happening, I believe, is I'm trying to discover what my sound really is, and it's definitely fun. Like one thing I'm trying to do is just put a little bit of everything that I like into my music. One thing I've realised is that my musical taste is very eclectic. Like I like loads of things across a broad spectrum, which is probably the same for you. It's probably the same for most people. But I've noticed there's some themes, like there's definitely some strong themes into the music I go back to and listen to a lot. Like, for example, I love synths. Any music with a synthesizer, especially like an 80s sounding, very analog sounding, quite dry synth. I really like that kind of sound. Also, I'm definitely not a fan of the really hard style EDM stuff you'd get in like a big room or like a main stage in a festival. That stuff, in fact, some of it's great, to be honest with you, but it's just not stuff that I listen to all the time or produce all the time. And I think, sometimes knowing what you're not into is just as important as knowing what you're into. Like, I love interesting chords, anything that just has, other than just a normal major minor triad, adding extra notes to those chords. Any songs that have really deep, intricate harmonies, like I'm drawn to. Melodic stuff, I love, really interesting melodies, and I love tight production. Like, really, a lot of people don't care about production. Like, they'll listen to records that are produced, in someone's garage, and there's definitely a place for that. Don't get me wrong, but I really admire tight production. So, like, one thing I can say is my music definitely encapsulates all of these things, and the more I'm discovering stuff that I like, I'm putting more of those things into my music, and I think that's probably how my sound is going to develop. But like, one thing I'm finding at the moment is I don't know how to pinpoint the type of music I make. Like it's I don't know if it's necessarily a problem, but I do feel like when I listen to an artist that I really like, I feel like I could tell that it was one of their tracks, without anyone letting me know who wrote the song. I feel like I'd be able to pinpoint it. I feel like I could pinpoint an Avicii track or a Kygo track, without someone saying that's who made the tune. I feel like their sound is so distinct. And so what I'm trying to achieve is really trying to create something pure and that's my own, that is also very distinct, because yeah, it just reflects what I want. And I think I'm finding it hard to do that. But I wanted to talk a little bit about my philosophy around how I'm attempting to make that happen. Maybe you'll find it inspirational as well. So like one thing that I'm trying to do, regardless of how my sound is developing, is I'm trying to improve a little bit with every single release. Like in some way, I want every release to just be slightly better than the previous one. And like, you know, this is a good attitude anyway, right? It's gonna, like, only good things can come from that. But through doing that, I find that I'm getting clear about what it is I really like about music. Like for one thing, in my last track, Fresh Eyes, I was aiming to have sounds that had a lot of depth to them. And it's really hard to describe, but like when you listen to, I don't know, for example, something that's insanely well produced, like a Coldplay track, like I don't know, like Yellow or something like that. Was it Sky Full of Stars? You listen to those tunes, every instrument has so much depth to it. Like it's difficult to describe, but there's like a richness in every single part of the track that just makes the whole thing sound so impressive and expensive. Like if you listen to like the cello parts or the drums or the vocals, you know, everything has just been recorded so well and mixed so incredibly well, and that adds another element to like the musical experience. So I've been trying to recreate that and just add a lot of depth to every single part and really focus on the, I think what I'm trying to say is it's the tone of every single sound. Like guitar players obsess about tone, right? And guitar players have a distinct tone, like John Mayer has a distinct tone, like Jimi Hendrix has possibly the best tone I've ever heard. And they obsess over that stuff, and I think as a producer, we should obsess over tone as well, but with us, it's more like the whole tone of the track, rather than just the tone of one part. So that's something I've focused on with Fresh Eyes, and it's something I'll carry on because I care about that. In fact, on the track I'm working on now, Remix, I'm focusing on having really humanized parts. So I often quantize everything. I also draw stuff in and quantize it. But one thing I've noticed about really brilliant music is that they've really mastered the feel with their tracks. It's not about just having like a robotic beat. You know, they've got an incredible drummer, whether it's a session drummer, whether it's someone in the band who is just a great drummer. Like my favorite drummer, for example, Steve Gadd. When you hear him play, it doesn't sound like a quantized drum beat. Like you can see so clearly what an amazing feel he has. Like just incredible. It's like hard to describe, and you can't emulate that stuff by drawing in notes. So what I've started to do now is actually play parts, even if it's just on a tiny little like MIDI keyboard, but just getting that better humanized feel that you'd get from like an amazing session musician. And then if it's a little bit off, going in and like making micro adjustments, but making sure not everything in the track is just quantized so it sounds like a robot. And I'm finding it's adding in like another level of depth to the music, which makes it better. And I think this will become part of my new sound. So yeah, this is what I'm focusing on at the moment, and I'm finding I actually don't know how my sound's going to develop. I really don't know what it's going to be. I don't think it's necessarily something you can force. I think it's more of a journey that evolves. I think focusing on quality is probably the best way to develop a sound, because quality is a very subjective thing anyway, right? We all have a different version of what quality actually means. So quality to me, surely that will be my sound. If it's high quality to me, then that means I like it, and then for my personality is like perfectly encapsulated within the music. And so yeah, my aim is to just constantly develop it. And if you listen to some of the best artists, their sound changes anyway. Like their sound from 10 years ago is different to their sound now. So it's not like you ever arrive at this place where now you have your sound and it's going to be like that forever. You know, it will adapt and morph and change in some way. But hopefully, yeah, I'll get closer and closer to being really happy with the way my music sounds. So, hope you found this insightful. I hope it's made you think about the creative process and given you a peek inside my creative process. Make sure you hit subscribe so you can catch more videos like this. Leave a comment below if you found this video insightful. Leave a like as well. And I'll see you next week.
Out of focus, I can't see. Nothing's fucking clear to me. Every minute passes in slow-mo.